Hey y'all, this is Lisa at our Georgia Suburban Homestead, and today I'm wire wrapping some earrings. Now I'm new to this, so I'm fumble-fingered, so feel free to laugh at me all you wish, but today I'm going to try to recreate the other earring. Can you see what that looks like? And that's like a star pattern done with, I can't tell if that's upside down to you or not, 18 gauge half hard wire, and a lot of people will use 28 gauge weaving wire, but I use 24 because the 28 is a little too fine for me. I like a little bit more substance to the structure. So how do we do that, you may ask? Well, you have to hand weave it. And I sit and watch TV at night and do hand woven pieces to craft later into earrings or pendants. Like here's a pair I did last night. And I did 1, 2, 3, 4 pair last night and a half. So I'll show you how to do this. Now, this has 7 points. A lot of people do 5 points. But I like a little bit more substance to my pieces. I like the tight starburst, so I do 7. And I'm going to be actually stringing this one for you on the video today. After I show you how to do this, the first thing you have to do is design the, or come up with the, I guess, framework to do the weaving on. And right now I'm using tape to secure one end of it, and that's frog tape that I use. A lot of people use painter's tape. Here's the frog tape. I'm going to do this a little backwards and show you how to take the weaving off the little loom, I guess is what it is that you're creating. And for utensils I use, this is the flesh nipper, chainmail nippers, pliers. I like this little Hummer. It's curved for pulling through tight spots, a silicone padded nipper for smoothing things out, needle nose pliers for doing little round circles. Okay, to make your weaving platform, you can take 3 or 5 segments of 18 gauge wire, okay? And you cut them to 3 inches. 1, 2, 3. I've got this really nifty cutting mat that I got from Amazon. And then you're going to use your, in this instance I'm using 24 gauge weaving wire. And you take your first wire. Before you get set up, you're going to want your tape. So this is frog tape. It's a painter's tape. This just happens to be what we had on hand. And tear off a little piece and put it to the side. So what I do is you put your little tail that you're going to use later, and you wrap around your wire. I like to wrap 3 times. Slide it together. Of course, if you're doing it on camera, you have a hard time doing it. Okay. So that's coming above the wire this way. And if you're like me and you use the frame over and over again, it tends to get a little bent. So make sure that's straight. Take your second wire, lay it on top of the first, slide that all the way down. Hold it in place and come up. Wrap it around the wire above it. Take your next frame wire, lay it down. Wrap it above it. Now some people you see weave this pattern will stop there, but again, I like a more substantial, sturdy look to things. So there goes my 4th wire. You notice I went above that. And this is my final and 5th wire. Making sure it all lines up. Down and around we go. And that's half of it, okay? So now we want to come back down. And this is the point where you can get a little crazy. I like to fan my gadget out. And you're going to have to do this repeatedly as you work on your design because it'll shift on you. So you see that? And we're going to come back up and hold it from underneath. Now you can wrap it the other way. I'm just left-handed, and left-handed people do everything backwards. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to come between the top and the 2nd wire. Pull that down. Come back up, go between the 2nd wire and the 3rd, pull it tight, come back up, and by now you see I'm struggling with it a little bit. Back up in between. And we have our first star. So at this point I take this stuff and tape everything down. And I'll show you once we get this woven what the next step is. So there we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've already done that bottom wrap, so we're going to come up. You're going to have to keep straightening your weaving wire. Come up between the second and third, pull it kind of tight, come back in, back up between the third and the fourth, pull it up, back up to between the fourth and the fifth, pull it in, go back up all the way to the top, and down, starting back down between the top and the next one to it. Go down, keep holding it firm, back up to the next side, come down, next level, down, now we have 2 points. Now I do for these I do 7 points, but I'm also going to do some with 5 and do a different style earring. I might do another video on that if you enjoy this one. So I'm not going to make you watch me do all the way to 7. But the next step you'll see is taking your weaving pattern off your frame. So first we're going to take the tape off, and you've got to be careful when you're doing this, because if you get yanking on it, you bend. This stuff is so flexible, you'll end up bending it and breaking it. So let me take these and snip off the sides. So I'm going to take my chainmail pliers and very gently start grabbing these pieces of wire. This is 18 gauge wire that was cut to 4 inches long. And I start at the top of the triangle here. Just very gently pull. If the first one doesn't come out, the second one will. And that's 1. A lot of people also only do 3 of these. I do 5, again because I like a little bit more of a substantial design. 3 would work up a lot faster. It's 2. That's 3. 4 is being stubborn. 4, and the 5th one is the important one because it holds the bottom of the design. And I'll show you why that's important as well. But then at this juncture I will just remove the design by sliding it off the end of the piece. And at this point, I have taken 18 gauge wire and I wrapped it around something round. I think I used a Sharpie for this. And you bend one side at an angle. See? Now I'm going to take the star pattern and I'm going to thread it on this part of the wire. You ready? Now here we go. You find the hole where that last piece was and you just carefully thread your support wire through that top series of loops. Did you see how easily that came into there? Now I leave a tail on either end of this just in case I need more help securing something. And at this point I am going to bring the top together I'm going to check it for size. That's about right. What I've done is I've crossed the one with a kink in it over the straight one. I'm going to hold it with my fingers and then wrap it once around like that. Now to create the part that that hangs the stone, the bead, and this is a 5 or 6 millimeter bead. I'll put that in my hand, and that's what it's going to look like. So this pendant, or these earrings, are done with using a loop to capture the stone on either side. And at this point, we'll make that by we're going to bend this down and around to make a loop. So to make that loop, we're going to gently bend this wire, follow the curve of the earring, like so. And then pull it or pinch it so that when you place the bead on it, it doesn't go through. You see? So that's about the right size. Go ahead back to the top and wrap it around and then down on the other side, and we're going to do the same thing here once we place the bead. But that's kind of a wonky shape, so we're going to play with that a little bit. with a chainmail plier. I'm going to put a little bit of a bend in it to bend it into the curve, into the structure. I'm going to put the bead into the center and kind of push it just to create its custom cradle. And then we're going to take this wire and bend it over the top of the bead. Or so we say we are. You're going to hold it kind of firmly. Bring that down over the top and around. I don't like that, it's a little high, so I'm going to come a little bit lower, bend it around. Sometimes you're going to pinch it a little bit above the bead. And there you've got it secured. Try to turn it so the whole of the bead isn't facing upward. You might want to close the top of the loop a little bit so it's more secure, and then you monkey with it until you get it where you want it. So at this point I'm going to take this part and twist it around the straight part of the support. And this particular one will twist once and twice. Then you press it down, and I like to turn it to make sure there's nothing sharp. Okay, so this is what we have at this point, right? So now we want to secure the star part. You see how that's kind of slidey, shifty? And this is why I leave these, because then I just wrap each side around a couple of times. And that'll hold the star portion in position. And let's see, how close are we to this? Pretty darn close. What do you think of that? The way I make them, either side can be considered the front. But I like that as the front of it. And then I just kind of freestyle the wrapping. To create the loop on top, I've got one of these nifty things. It's kind of a bale maker, and I'll use the smallest. Got to decide which side is the front. So this is the side that's the front. So I'm going to bend this a little to the front and then pull the wire around the bale making loop-de-loop. And I'm going to pinch that shut. I pinch that shut. And then I'm going to give it a twist. Because that's where you'll attach your over-the-ear piece. Now that I've got that twisted, I'll take my flesh clipper. Now before I do that, I'm going to bend this up just a little, so that I can take my flesh nipper, nip that off. Gonna squish that back down. You can still feel a little bit of a burr. File it just a little, that's a lot better. And then I'm going to take these tails and just wrap. Got a little bit of a burr here, so we're going to snip that off. Slide your fingers over your piece to make sure you don't have any jagged things sticking up. You can mash them. And there we have a pair of earrings. Voila! What do you think of that? Thanks for joining me. I'm very new to this, so those of you who are used to wire wrapping are probably sitting there going, no, 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 do this. You can give suggestions in the comments below after you give me a thumbs up, right? Thumbs up! Up! Subscribe, make comments, join me. Until next time, see ya.